Well, thank you everyone for turning out tonight. You know, we had a sellout tonight, and reserved seating only. And I guess, you know, if we do this again, maybe we ought to just do the Pace Lecture Hall and just do it that way. For a while there, I was thinking I could have held it in my office, but I think we're good to go. So anyway, I know it's not a very nice night. It's a crummy night out, and I will take this as a sign that people are very satisfied with everything that's going on at St. John's, or the weather's just really terrible, or Shawnee Davis is winning the 1,000 meters at the Olympics right now, and that's what people would rather be doing. But I'm really grateful for everyone turning out tonight. There isn't a topic that I am more passionate about than talking about St. John's and all the great things that are going on here. If I get talking too fast, somebody raise your hand and tell me to slow down, because this is something I've been thinking about for the last 5 or 6 weeks, ever since we put it on the calendar. And I want you to know there's so many things about the school that I could talk about, and it would be impossible for you to withstand that 4 or 5 hour filibuster. And so what I've tried to do is just put together a few slides that I think will lead us into a discussion that I would like to be much more open in terms of Q&A. So if you indulge me here, I planned it for about 20 minutes. Knowing my style, it'll probably go to 30 minutes, but I don't think it'll run longer than that. And then we can get to Q&A. So here goes. If I could have the first slide, please. It's very important to talk about our mission. It was flowing through here on the other slides as we were coming into the Performing Arts Center. Everything we do here is predicated upon this mission, which is reviewed periodically by the Board of Trustees, and it guides us in every action we take, particularly items that are of strategic importance to the school. We take all of it very seriously. In preparation for our recent accreditation visit, something I'll talk about in a minute, we put this document in every single classroom in the school and many of the administrative offices as well. We think it helps us guide decision making, and it keeps us true to our purpose here. I won't read it for you. Can I have the next slide, please? Strategic planning, something that the board and I are actively involved in now. When I first arrived here, we put together a narrative form strategic plan. We want to put together something that's a little bit more nuts and bolts. And in the tuition letter that I sent home to parents about a month or so ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I outlined in there some of the key issues that we're undertaking as a way of trying to make St. John's an even better school going forward. You know, the board plays such a vital role in the financial sustainability of our school. Their role is to help me make the best decisions that will ensure that the interests of the students in our school today are met, the needs of the students in the school today are met, but also that the school will be here for generations to come, so that we teach trustees that if they're doing their job correctly, they're wearing their grandparents' glasses. They're thinking about their children's children. And so here are some of the things. If you could hit the next slide, please. Some programmatic initiatives that we're working on right now, that we plan to put in for next year and have been included in the budget. These appeared in the letter that I sent home, but I'll just go through them quickly. We need to increase staffing in a few key areas. In our lower school, there have been some situations in the past few years where we think that some of the lower school classes have been a little bit too large. They haven't been unmanageable, but we don't think they're as good as they can be. And so we're going to look at enrollment carefully this year, and when we start to get north of 18 students in a grade, we're going to supplement. We don't necessarily think we'll hire a full-time teacher in those situations, as it wouldn't be cost-effective, but we're going to try to figure out if we can get some teaching associates and some part-time, very qualified individuals in to help us out. The iPad initiative we've talked about, we can talk about that more tonight. I imagine there might be some questions about that. But with the rollout going in grades 5 through 12 next year, we thought it would be really a gross misstep if we were to go into that initiative without adding any staffing to help us, not just with the technology itself, but in integrating the technology into our curriculum. So we're going to be adding a staff member here. We've been doing some interviewing. We've had some great candidates come in, folks who understand this technology, but folks who are principally teachers who are technologists, as opposed to technologists who like to teach a little bit. And we think that's vital to doing this successfully. And then the other thing that we're doing is we're going to reduce just slightly the staffing of our department chairs. A typical teaching load in the middle and upper school for a full-time teacher at St. John's is 5 classes. That doesn't include their advisor responsibilities, homeroom responsibilities, and club activities that many of them, if not all of them, lead. But our department chairs for the past few years have also been teaching a full load of 5 courses. And if we expect our department chairs to be serving as mentors and evaluators of our faculty, we think that it would make more sense if they were teaching 4 classes. So we're going to lighten their load a little bit, and in order to do that, we need to bring on a few faculty to help them out there. If I could have the next slide, please. That leads me to professional development. We believe we have a great faculty, and we believe if we want to run the best independent school that we can in Northeast Florida, then it's incumbent upon us, and the board believes it's incumbent upon them to help us fund the school in such a way that we can nurture and care for not only the students, but for our faculty. And so we have, in the past 12 to 18 months, been taking this on as a mantra, asking ourselves, what are we doing to get better, not only as a group, but as individuals? And so we need to increase our funding there. We've looked at some metrics across comparative independent schools, and I'm sorry to report to you this morning that we're not keeping up. And so we want to move the school in a direction where we're not only keeping up, but we're setting the pace. If I could have the next slide, please. And I would say that our salaries, we have worked hard to try and improve for our faculty and staff in the last few years. And I think it would be crying foul if they said they're grossly underpaid, but I think we can do better. And one area in which we need to do particularly better is with regard to the match on our retirement plan. If you're not familiar with the structure of independent schools, there's no pension plan at our school. So if you take a counterpart who might be in the public school world, if they work a career in teaching, they're working towards a pension, which is often 60, 70, 80% of their last or highest paid years ad infinitum as they go off into retirement. That's not so in independent schools. Independent school teachers need to set aside funds, much like many folks in the private sector do, to take care of themselves for retirement. And often schools do this through a process similar to a 401k called a 403b, which enables faculty to set aside some amount of money and that the school would set aside a like amount. Many independent schools in the area match that contribution as high as 6 or 7%, and right now we're at 3.25%. And over the next 3 or 4 years, we're going to be increasing that match there. And we think that's important. People are making a lifelong commitment to this profession, and we want to make sure that they have a reasonable expectation of a decent retirement when they're done with all that great work. Could I have the next slide, please? So this brings us to the iPad. I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. We think this is an incredible tool. We don't think it's a substitute for the curriculum, and we don't think it's a substitute for a teacher. But we do think there are many advantages to it, not the least of which is that it's pretty small. Not the least of which that it gets our students engaged. But we understand that it's something that we want to use to supplement the curriculum. We've been visiting other schools that have implemented the iPad more or earlier than we have. And we've determined that schools who use it properly, use this technology properly and to the best use for the kids, use it as a way of differentiating instruction. They use it as a means of aiding the curriculum that already exists. And they find that it enables students to be a little bit more creative than they've been. Technology is something that kids are going to be using in the years ahead. And I will tell you where I stand on the philosophically, and then we can get into some of this in the Q&A. But many people are concerned about access to the internet, access to inappropriate websites. They're concerned about the dangers of social media, things like that. And I'm very familiar with all of that, and I'm equally concerned. I think we have a job as educators to rather than hide, rather than prevent, rather than stuff it in a closet and lock it. I think personally it's better to expose them to this technology, to expose them to these ideas, and to teach them how to use these things properly so they can develop into individuals who are going to make good decisions with it. I want to reiterate one more time, and this next slide is something that Ms. Boyd in the admissions office is really great about, creating creative things, and I want to show you the next slide here. I'm stealing Mrs. Fisher's comment here. These are some of our colleagues at St. John's and these icons that we have on the screen, and I want to reiterate that there is no app for a truly exceptional teacher. Okay, so while we're going to use these iPads, we're going to use them sometimes. Some classes will use them more than others, and it will be a learning process as we go. There's no substitute for an excellent teacher in the classroom. This is not curriculum in place of teacher. This is supplementing what the teacher's already doing. If I could have the next slide, please. I want to take a minute and talk about the Heinrich, the Learning and Resource Center, which is now ably run by Lucretia Miller, who goes by Lucia, and I think she's here tonight. I think I saw Lucia. Where are you? There she is. An incredibly able individual who has come and taken us on a whirlwind tour of the way information systems should be best utilized, helping students and helping teachers learn how to teach the inquiry process so that kids are learning how to discern credible sources from unreliable sources, a renewed emphasis on reading, an area of the school that we need to support with additional funding going forward. We have found that over the years, through the incredible generosity of parents donating through the Birthday Book Fund, that we've got an incredible lower school or early childhood learning collection. But that's not the same in our young adult areas for the middle school and the upper school. And so with renewed emphasis there, we plan to upgrade the collection for students in the middle and upper school. And I think that some of the initiatives that Lucia has undertaken have met with great enthusiasm and recognition from our colleagues on the academic staff. A couple of points of note. This is the page on our website, the virtual library that Lucia has established. The link is up there. Anyone can go and look at it, sjcdslibrary.net. But she does these things called pathfinders. Am I using the term correctly, Lucia? Yeah, pathfinders, okay? And so she set up this pathfinders for the U.S. Constitution. Have I got this right? And so she's actually recently gotten feedback from the Library of Congress, the immigration system services. Yeah, people are learning the histories and the customs and the traditions of the United States, and they've found Lucia's Pathfinder as a great source. So now the folks at the U.S. Immigration Services are actually using our website as a resource. Lower school reading, the circulation, Lucia tracks the circulation monthly. Since she's arrived at the beginning of the school year, circulation in the lower school is up 23%. Circulation in the middle and upper school is up 123%. This is not reading for the curriculum. This is reading for pleasure. So if you haven't met Lucia and you're curious about that, she's here tonight. She didn't come here tonight to have one-on-one meetings, but please stop by the library sometime. We're always looking for volunteers, by the way, and an incredible resource and something I'm proud to brag about. One other thing that's also interesting, if you have time and you're really curious about this, there's a certification known as a Florida Power School Library. Did I say that right? Okay, I got it. Okay, I got the adjectives backwards. But anyway, we're going for that distinction. It may take us a year or two or three to get there, but if we do, we'll be the only school to have such a designation in all of Northeast Florida. And part of the deal is you've got to have a librarian/information specialist who has the qualification, the certification, which Lucia has. And so there's other things that we need to do as a school to fund it properly and to make sure it's well-staffed and that the collection is up to date. But once we get there, it's going to be another thing that we can boast about.